So to be spiritual is to quiet the mind. All right. The sun is the spinal cord with the brain, but Mercury is the processor of the brain. It's like the CPU, right? Processes the information, gives us the ability to speak and comprehend. Now the mind is different. The mind is different from the brain. So until you're able to sit down on your bed, practice this real quick. Sit down or wherever you're sitting at, and until you're able to come outside of your shell, your body, and sit behind the back of your head and look at the back of your head and start thinking about what you're going to do today. And lo and behold, some things might get in the way. Some things may become obstacles along the way. And when this occurs, this lets you know that these are physical constructs. These are 3D constructs to, just prolong or just get in the way of the things that you have set out to do in your mind, right? This is spirituality, to be able to quiet your mind so that you understand when these interferences occur, it's not the end of the world. All right. And I put emphasis on this because most times when I encounter Tauruses who have challenges, they become frustrated by things that are, physical constructs, human things that, like rules being applied that their stubborn asses don't want to, adhere to because it's being taken out of their comfort zone. They don't like change and things of that nature. You know what I mean? However, it's just a human construct. It's not as serious as I've experienced or I've seen Tauruses take things. And I know I've done this video before, not clearing up what I said about Tauruses not being spiritual, but just clarifying in detail what I mean. Like I've mentioned, I know a Taurus with Scorpio midhaven, for example, who's definitely on a game when it comes to spirituality and stuff like that. Very well versed, able to articulate themselves when it comes to spirituality, and they have a strong sense of, five senses and stuff like that. Pardon me, and then unplug the refrigerator. But anyway, here we go. Let me continue. So I want to put more clarification on this and just put this out there as, chime in. Let's say I'm not correct again. Just get in the comment section. I'd like to know. I want to pick your brain. So back to this whole spirituality thing, right? It's like I just recently seen a comment, and instead of me going in the comment section to respond, I thought I'd do a video and put it in the Taurus playlist, because there are more videos on Taurus that I have. So all Tauruses who are new to the channel and things like that, there's a Taurus playlist, yo. So then you may hear me say something about Taurus and you may be like, oh my God, that is just out of whack. That is not true, and that is disgusting, and things like that. Go through the rest of the playlist, because I'm pretty sure I cover everything about a Taurus. I have dated Taurus plenty. I've hung out with Tauruses, male and female, day in and day out. So I do know what I'm talking about. But I don't know everything, right? So perhaps you have some more information that I need to know. One thing that I seen in this comment, though, is a reference to God, a reference to in spiritual brokenness, I believe was the term that was given, due to their experiences. Now I'll say this, spiritual brokenness, I don't even believe that that's a thing. So let me know if I'm on to something here, or let me know if I'm incorrect. I don't believe spiritual brokenness to be a thing, because again, like I said, what I've learned is that spirituality is the quieting of the mind. And when you become spiritual, it's like Neo with the golden code. I don't know if y'all seen The Matrix. I know a large part of my audience is the younger generation. I advise y'all to see the Matrix trilogy, by the way, before this Matrix 4 jump off comes out, so y'all get brought up to date. This is a very important movie, especially to our generation, but you should get up on things because the new one is coming out. So it's like Neo with the golden code when you become spiritual, because these monkey wrenches will be thrown in the way, and there'll be obstacles, there'll be enemies, there'll be all types of things. Even spiritual warfare, it doesn't affect you, it doesn't impact you in a way that is negative. The only thing that I found to impact me being spiritual is being exposed to so much energy and not being able to have a place to ground or process the information or even at times get away from because it's just too overwhelming. I'm a Pisces. You know what I'm saying? I feel everything. So that's the only thing that I could feel that can impact me negatively. But everything outside of that, there's no spiritual brokenness once you become spiritual. I believe that it's physical, material brokenness, even that this Taurus had began to explain. Because, and I'm gonna just give an example out right now, right? When I was younger, because I'm a Virgo ascendant with a Taurus decadent. So when I was in my younger years, and I hopped off the porch in single digits, you know what I'm saying? I was transporting bags and stuff like that from the building to the store and from other people in the apartment buildings. And, I never looked in the bag. I was told to never look in the bag. I never looked in the bag. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to make a long story short. I'm just telling you how early I got into the game. So my attitude as a youngin was, I wore all my money. You gotta have the flyest shit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have money. I wore most of it. If you're not doing nothing, you're lame. If you're not active, I was very active as a kid. If you're not active, then you just get out of the way. You're in the way. You know what I'm saying? That was my attitude. You had to have this. You had to have that. You had to know people. You had to be social. You had to have high social status and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong. I don't look at anybody who's in their teens or their early 20s to think otherwise either. You know what I'm saying? Well, early 20s, then you got to start making some adjustments. You know what I'm saying? But at that age, it's expected is pretty much what I'm saying. But now to utilize the term outside by individuals who had as many laps around the sun as me, it's kind of like really like, but to each his own. I don't want to diverge. So I was very materialistic. You know what I'm saying? My spiritual gifts are things that I ran away from. Like I would have my prophetic dreams and dreams about ghosts and spirits and stuff early on, and they would come in the form of nightmares when I was younger. And I'd be like, wake up intense, like, yo, why am I going? Like, I don't even want to experience this shit. Like, I'm not with it. I would run away from this shit. I did not want any parts to do with spiritual gifts. My parents, I didn't even know where I came from, and I'm gonna give you a story too. I didn't even know ancestral roots as far as like tribes and shamans and stuff like that. My parents come from the generation of wanting to get as far away from their roots as possible. That's where they came from. You know what I'm saying? So there was no talks in our house about any ritualistic practices that we did back in the days, and there was none of that in my house. You understand? So I would run from these spiritual gifts, and it wasn't until two things started occurring. One, going to jail, and two, getting high. Now, so a lot of people say, oh, when people get high and they get drunk, they on a low vibration, they're vibrating low. And no, that is not true either. When you get high, that's your whole attempt is to vibrate high. That's why it's called getting high. You understand? You want to leave the five physical senses as much as possible and reach a higher plane, which is the sixth sense. You want to tap into the sixth sense, which Pisces, mostly water signs, have naturally. You know what I'm saying? You want to go beyond the physical realm, light. You want to go to dark matter. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like when you smoke weed, you're just like, oh, bro, like everything's cool. Like that was my way of releasing and escaping this whole 3D form of doing things. And it's just like, oh, that was cool for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's one way that I started tapping into my gifts. And another time was going to prison. I started going to prison. Again, prison, 12th house, ruled by Pisces. You understand what I'm saying? These all of these things align. So like one time when I went to prison, I might have told this story on the channel before. One time when I went to prison, I had missed breakfast one morning, came out a little bit. I was in my cell. We was in our cells a little bit after breakfast, and I overheard people like talking about what had happened earlier at breakfast. Like something went down at breakfast, and I was fairly new. This is when Brooklyn House was a thing. You know what I'm saying? I was fairly new. I was fighting a case that was more serious though. Like I might have been on my way to do some time, but I was like unsure. And I overheard people talking about it. I'm like, all right. And then my boy Junebug was locked up with me in Brooklyn House. Junebug, RP, returning power. Junebug, I love you, man. So Junebug is like 250 solid, 6'6", chiseled. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my dude. We hitting the pull-up bar. I'm trying to get like June. You know what I'm saying? But I'm tiny. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't matter. I'm trying to get like June. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still on this, you know, what you see is what you get type thing, this 3D five senses thing. Like, you know, I'm gonna get down on something and you try to play me. So this kid comes up to both of us in the hallway. It had to be same weight as me, maybe an inch or two taller than me. You know what I'm saying? He had these real brown, like honey brown paws. You know what I'm saying? But he had like these golden eyes, yo, no bullshit. And he was just like, he was looking at me and June. He started talking to us. He was the guy who was talking while we was in the cells when we was locked in. When we came out, he just came up on us, started talking to us, and he looked at me. He was like, where your family from? He was like, you got a tribal line or something, huh? And I'm just like clueless. I don't know what the fuck this dude talking about. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to sit there in front like I know where I'm from, my ancestry and all that. Like, I ain't know shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? He was like, you got it. I could see it in your eyes, but you don't got it, do you? Do you got it? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, nah, you don't got it. You don't got it. So he started breaking down to us what had happened earlier. You know what I'm saying? There was some issues with the phones and stuff like that. And he was like, yo, man, I know y'all just came in not too long ago. He was like, yo, I was talking to my OG or whatever. And he was like, yo, I was like, who your OG? He's like, my OG on the other side of the jail. And I'm like, yo, how your OG seen us? He was like, you be looking through the other side. Like, you got to be on point. So I'm like, all right. I just started like jailing at this time. You know? So, I'm like, all right. So he like, yeah, he was telling me, you know what I'm saying, to come kick it with y'all or whatever. I'm like, kick it with us. I'm like, don't you got, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking like, don't you got your homies that you was talking to in the cells when y'all was locked in or whatever? Like, why you coming to kick it with us? But this dude was moving on spiritual accord the whole time. I couldn't comprehend this until later on in life. So he like, nah, I'm supposed to come to y'all. Just y'all two. That's all I need. Just y'all two. I just want y'all to walk out into the day room with me and take a position inside of the day room. Don't stand next to each other. Spread apart a little bit. But just take a position in the day room. Don't say nothing or nothing. Just post up and stay there. So I'm like, me and June looking at each other. We like, and June with the shits. You know what I'm saying? So he just like, come on.